When it comes to protecting our children, Justin Trudeau has been known to suffer many horrific meltdowns, but now Dr. Jordan Peterson and Elon Musk join into the fray to give their 2 cents, while Britain takes a stance on what's appropriate for children. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Boy, do we have a doozy to talk about today, because I was made aware yesterday about Jordan Peterson tweeting out in regards to the UK's new rules on banning puberty blockers for children. Now, we're no stranger to this topic. It's been one that's been widely discussed in this country multiple times. We've seen the March to Save Children. We've seen various claims of people saying that these things are not appropriate for kids under the age of 18. And we've had many videos discussing those things. But a video surfaced yesterday that made me question the information that is going out for people to digest over this topic. And I kind of wanted to get into what has taken place in Britain, because this is a milestone step in order to, I guess, protect children to the fullest extent of the law, to ensure that the choices that they make are safe. This is, of course, the subject that I keep very near and dear. This is one that is running for my campaign promises to eliminate such behavior within the city of Calgary and its bylaws in order to keep our kids from making hasty decisions that affect the rest of their lives. Now, of course, Dr. Jordan Peterson tweeting out today as Britain changing its laws on medical procedures such as puberty blockers for children, and Elon Musk also giving his 2 cents as well. But before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to remind everybody to step by the channel this Friday for Friday Night Fringe at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central. We are going to be doing, I guess this isn't really the one chip challenge. It's called the Jolo chip last chip challenge. Apparently it's worse than the Packy one chip challenge. But since we hit 25,000 subscribers on the channel, we're now at about 27,000 at the time of filming this video, roughly. So big thank you to everybody who's joined the channel. If you're not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe, turn on your bell for notifications, join us for that live stream. It's going to be a doozy, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in the stream Friday night, again, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. Now, Dr. Jordan Peterson giving his 2 cents, calling out Justin Trudeau. Excuse me, Justin Trudeau, I'm a psychologist. One who's also come under attack for scrutinizing this government and threatened to have his license taken away, I might add. Despite the best efforts of your ideological allies. I told your idiot senators in 2016 that your idiot virtue signaling of Bill C-16, I apologize, would cause a psychogenic epidemic among young women. Guess what happened? Now I'm telling you something else. The Brits have woken up and banned puberty blockers for kids, as they should have. But the butchers are still operating in Canada. Every day this continues, it's on you. You're culpable in child mutilation and sterilization. If it was up to me, you'd be tried for it, along with the other butchers and enablers. You and your toxic compassion. For shame, Canada. Now, of course, he's got a link to the publication, and I'm going to take a look at exactly the big picture here. Essentially, it's similar to what we've seen in other places, but Elon Musk, of course, retweeting Dr. Jordan Peterson here to say Britain has actually looked at the data, which is why they're shutting down puberty blockers for kids. They do far more harm than good. Now, if you've watched videos on this channel, again, I've discussed multiple times, including documentation from provinces like British Columbia, that state they don't fully understand the effects of puberty blockers on kids, as the first generation of people taking them hasn't concluded. So they don't have full evidence to support their claims that there are no risks to taking puberty blockers for children. So, of course, Elon Musk weighing in, while Justin Trudeau, back in February, had an ideological meltdown, a complete unhinged rant in regards to what it is we're going to discuss next. Now, let's take a listen to what Justin Trudeau had to say here.
Prime Minister, on pharmacare legislation, how is that going?
Trans kids are 5 times more likely in this country to attempt suicide. What Mr. Poilievre and Ms. Smith are proposing is to take away the rights of parents and their kids to make the right choices for them with their doctors. We don't think government should be doing that. Our government will always stand up for the most vulnerable, including our trans youth. Les jeunes.
We're not going to listen to it again in French, but what he's essentially said is that the government shouldn't be telling people what to do with their bodies. I mean, call me crazy, but weren't they doing that less than 3 years ago when everybody was locked in their houses, telling you you're not going to get on a plane or a train? However, the funny part of this was he referred to Danielle Smith and her proposal, I guess, or her bill to remove puberty blockers for children under the age of 18 or children not having access to them in Alberta. Of course, Pierre Poilievre weighed in on the situation as well, and that's what I want to get to. But let's listen to what Pierre Poilievre had to say, because, of course, Pierre Poilievre also supporting Dr. Jordan Peterson and Elon Musk with his claim, backing up their information.
Do you support age restrictions for puberty blockers and hormone therapies for trans kids?
I think that Justin Trudeau is trying to divide and distract Canadians by spreading disinformation about the decisions that premiers and parents are making.
What do you think? What do you think?
I want to know your position.
What is your own party policy? It's your own party policy. At party
I think we
convention.
should protect the rights of parents to make their own decisions.
What does it mean?
With regards to their children. And I believe that adults should have the freedom to make any decision they want about their bodies.
But minors,
about children?
ban
I think-
surgeries and medical interventions for minors, as your own party members suggested.
Medical
sir.
interventions like what?
That is the language that your party
What medical
used.
interventions?
Well, you would have to ask your party members.
What medical
such
interventions?
Such as puberty blockers and hormone
For
replacement
minors?
therapy. Yeah. Yes.
Irreversible? You're talking about
I
irreversible?
would like to understand your
I just want to be
position.
clear. No, I want to be clear. I just want to be clear.
For minors.
Puberty blockers for minors?
Do you agree with that?
Do you agree with that?
I think that we should protect children
What
and their
does that
ability
mean?
to make adult decisions when they're adults.
So
And
you
that
think
would affect-
only
I
adults?
think-
Only adults should make. You said yes. Just to be clear, you said yes. Only adults should take puberty blockers.
I think we should protect children, let them make adult decisions when they become adults.
So that
So
means
you do
you,
support age
so that means
restrictions?
you are against puberty blockers for kids under the age of 18. Is that
Yes.
unclear? Okay. What about, can I ask
So there we go. Pierre Poilievre stating basically what Dr. Jordan Peterson says, what Elon Musk has said. He's on the same side of the fence as Danielle Smith, saying, yes, we should be restricting puberty blockers for children under the age of 18. Now, where some confusion came from this was, again, a video that came up yesterday from Clyde Do Something, putting the UK bans puberty blockers, USA and Canada next. Well, this could be a little misleading, and I wanted to clarify why, because this little bit of a sound clip at the end is where I feel that either people are ill-informed or people don't know what's going on. So let's listen to the clip, and then I just want to basically discuss why Canada isn't the issue here. But let's take a listen to what was said at the end of this video.
So many countries are banning puberty blockers for children. What do you think? Do you think Canada should ban puberty blockers? The United States, should they ban puberty blockers for children?
Again, the question of should Canada ban them and should the United States ban them? Now, again, I'm not 100% up to speed with what the United States does, but I do believe that is a state issue. I do believe that the United States or the president of the United States cannot determine, much like issues like Roe versus Wade, what different states' policies are in terms of medical procedures, much like Canada, where, of course, Alberta, and it isn't mentioned in this video, but of course, Alberta has already banned puberty blockers for kids. So technically, Canada, or a portion of Canada, has already banned this out. It is already happening. Alberta being the first province to announce a ban for the treatment for teens under the age of 16. Now, this happened back at the end of January. So, in fact, Canada cannot ban. The federal government does not have the power or the legislative authority to ban puberty blockers countrywide. This is a provincial jurisdiction, and of course, multiple provinces are needed to have their premiers change the laws in which those are governed. So if the question is, should Canada ban it? Again, maybe more clarity could be put on that this is a provincial issue. So when Justin Trudeau talks about puberty blockers and what's good for parents, for them sticking up for trans. It's just as Pierre Poilievre states, that this is nothing more than a wedge issue. This is Justin Trudeau building up his case when he runs for prime minister in the next federal election. He wants to use this, similar like he did with the pandemic, as a wedge issue to drive division amongst Canadian voters. Now, again, with Alberta coming out, let's just clarify what was stated in that. So it says Alberta is the first province to announce a ban on treatment for teens under the age of 16. Here's what you need to know. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith announced changes to gender identity policies on January the 31st. The changes include banning certain gender-affirming treatments, including puberty blockers, for people who are 15 and under. Smith said the changes are to preserve choice for kids and parents. Now, when it says 15 and under, I will reiterate that that is only for kids who started treatment prior to the fall cutoff, I guess, for when this starts to take effect. They certainly don't want to take people off of drugs they've already started taking, but that children under the age of 16, I believe, would have to be informed by parents, have parental consent as well as doctor's consent to start taking them somewhere between the ages of 16 and 17, I believe. But it says here, medical experts are concerned by the new rules, and they said that this may cause harm to trans patients. Now, it says here that Alberta Premier Danielle Smith on January 31st announced major changes to policies about gender identity and medical procedures related to trans healthcare. One of the changes is to ban on hormonal therapies and puberty blockers for children and teens 15 years old or younger. Smith said the new rules will be introduced in the fall. So again, when it says for kids under 15, it's talking about people who have started these procedures 15 or over prior to the fall's effect on these rules. Alberta is the first province in Canada to announce it intends to ban puberty blocking medication for kids and teens 15 years and under. Smith said that these changes are to preserve choices for children and parents. Critics of these policies, including some medical professionals, say they actually do the opposite by preventing parents and children from accessing treatment. Smith says changes, that's a requote, but her quote down here from her news conference on February 1st, I want you to also know that these policies are being implemented in order to protect the choices you have regarding altering your physical body until after you've grown mature enough to make such choices safely and with a full understanding of what that means for the rest of your life, Smith said. Now, she's also put into these rules that if a child wishes to identify in a certain way within the school system, that parents must be included, they must be informed, which of course in Alberta is what's raised the controversy since January 31st. A lot of teachers now saying, well, how are we supposed to teach sex education to kids if we have to inform the parents? To which Danielle Smith also replied in a further press conference that if it's the teacher's opinions that they need to talk to students about sexual education without the knowledge of parents, then perhaps those teachers shouldn't be the ones to do so. She stood very firm on what is going on. So again, Alberta and I guess part of Canada have already, just to clarify, blocked puberty blockers. But here in Britain, again, children will no longer be able to access puberty blockers at England clinics. Now, it states here that in England, they will no longer receive puberty blocker prescriptions. National Health, or the NHS of England, said confirming that the medicine will only be provided to youth who were taking part in clinical research trials. Children can still receive puberty blockers through some private practices, which again isn't an all-out ban. Puberty blockers are used to delay the onset of puberty by blocking the body from making hormones such as testosterone and estrogen. The hormonal suppressants do not reserve any changes that have already happened, but can block physical changes like breast development and facial hair. We've concluded there is not enough evidence to support the safety or clinical effectiveness of puberty blockers to make the treatment routinely available at this time. An NHS England policy document released on Tuesday read, the decision comes after a public consultation on the topic, interim policy, and independent review of gender identity service for underage children, they said. From 2021 to 22, more than 5,000 youth were referred to the Gender Identity Development Service, a national health clinic in the UK, compared to less than 250 a decade earlier. The clinic is closing at the end of March. It says here that this Dr. Cass, a consultant, pediatrician, and former president at the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health, led the independent review and said that there was insufficient long-term evidence of what happens to youth who are prescribed puberty blockers. And again, we've already seen those results published in provinces like British Columbia that we've covered on this channel, where they have said there's no long-term evidence because the first generation of people taking these procedures or these medical introductions into their body for blocking their hormones haven't collected enough data yet for them to make an accurate report on what the long-term effects are. It says here that, in contrast, leading U.S. medical associations have approved of puberty blockers as medically accepted treatment for transgender and non-binary youth. So, I guess long story short, people, again, I just wanted to clarify the big mishap in the room that, of course, Alberta has already blocked these things, that this is a provincial jurisdiction and is not a Canada-wide jurisdiction. If Pierre Poilievre were to become Prime Minister of Canada, he can certainly sit down with multiple premiers and suggest that they put a ban on those blockers, or speak with them to encourage the use of banning such treatments on children. However, at the end of the day, this is a provincial jurisdiction, which is why Alberta has already moved ahead with it. And I'm assuming the same with the United States, in terms of each state having its own ability to decide. So as a country, they physically cannot decide the rules, or I guess removing the rules on children having access to these drugs. Again, it's interesting to see Elon Musk come to the table, as well as Dr. Peterson, who's been very vocal about this. But Elon Musk supporting Dr. Peterson. We all know that Elon Musk, again, has been very supportive in the past of removing these sorts of access that's given to people for these drugs. But now, of course, backing up Pierre Poilievre's statement and Danielle Smith's, stating that this is a no-no zone and we shouldn't be going there, that this is not beneficial for children. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Was this a good move for Britain? Again, it worries me a little that private clinics can still access this for children. So it's not an all-out win like it was in Alberta, where, again, Alberta was very precise on what these rules are going to entail, and that if you can't get it through one place, you can't get it at all, that those are the rules. You must be an adult, much like drinking alcohol at 18 years of age in Alberta, or purchasing tobacco, or I guess cannabis. You have to be an adult to consume these things. You have to be an adult to enter a bar. You have to be an adult to do many things, such as vote. So it only makes sense that adults be given the same privileges to decide what's best for their body. Again, folks, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Don't forget, again, to join us this Friday for Friday Night Fringe here on the channel. That chip challenge, I think, is going to be the highlight of the evening. And, well, I've been trying to build up my tolerance to spice since the last failure of the one-chip challenge. I will iterate that while I've heard a lot of negative things about these one-chip challenges, this will be the final one-chip challenge on this channel. Whether we succeed or fail, I will not be doing it again. As I'm climbing up in age, it's hard on the body to do these things, but I certainly want to follow through with my word. I want to make sure everybody has a good time, and well, a little bit of pain at my expense for the audience to have a laugh is definitely worth it. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know again your comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, get this out there in the algorithm. Help us, because YouTube loves to suppress this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.